Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Vengeance and looked out at the stars. The ship was huge and powerful, built by humans after they joined the Galactic Council. Jake felt proud every time he walked through its halls. This was humanity's first real warship, and he was in charge of it. The Vengeance was different from other ships in the galaxy. Human engineers had worked for years to make it special. The hull could fix itself when damaged. The weapons were faster and stronger than anything the Council had seen before. Most important of all was Atlas, the ship's computer brain that could think and learn. "Captain, we're getting a message from the Zalani fleet," said Commander Lisa Parker from her station. She was the ship's tactical officer, a smart woman who knew how to fight. "Admiral Kethter wants to start the training exercise." Jake nodded. "Tell him we're ready. This should be interesting." The training exercise was supposed to be simple. Human ships would work with Zalani ships to practice fighting together. The Zalani were good allies, with blue skin and 4 arms. They had been in the Council for hundreds of years and knew how space battles worked. Chief Engineer Danny Wright spoke up from his station. "All systems are working perfectly, Captain. The new plasma cannons are ready to fire." Jake smiled. The plasma cannons were his favorite part of the ship. Human scientists had made them using new ideas about energy and matter. They looked normal from the outside, but Jake knew they were much more powerful than other weapons in the galaxy. "Atlas, run a full check on all systems," Jake ordered. The ship's computer answered in a calm voice. "All systems are at full power, Captain. I have analyzed the Zalani fleet and can predict their battle moves with 94% accuracy." Commander Parker looked surprised. "Atlas can do that. Human computers are very good at learning patterns," explained Dr. Rachel Stone from the science station. She was young but very smart about how technology worked. "Atlas studies how other ships move and fight, then figures out what they will do next." The training exercise began well. The Vengeance moved alongside 3 Zalani warships as they practiced different battle formations. The alien ships were graceful and fast, with smooth curves and bright lights. Next to them, the human ship looked rough and angular, like a weapon made for war. "This is easy," said Lieutenant Sam Foster from the navigation station. "Our ship handles much better than I expected." Jake was about to agree when alarms started ringing all over the bridge. Atlas spoke quickly, warning, 15 unknown ships, approaching fast. They are not Council vessels, reading high-energy weapons. "Pirates," growled Commander Parker. "They must think we're an easy target." The pirate ships were ugly and covered in spikes and armor. They moved in like hungry wolves, firing red laser beams at the small fleet. The Zalani ships fired back with their blue energy weapons, but the pirates had strong shields. "Admiral Kethter is asking for help," reported Foster. "The Zalani ships are taking damage." Jake felt his heart beat faster. This was real combat, not practice. "Atlas, give me battle options. I recommend we use Formation Delta 7. Our weapons will be most effective at medium range. I can guide the targeting systems for maximum damage." "Do it," Jake ordered. "All hands, battle stations. This is not a drill." The Vengeance turned toward the pirate ships like a predator hunting prey. The plasma cannons charged up with a deep, humming sound that everyone could feel through the floor. Commander Parker's fingers danced over her controls as she locked onto targets. "Firing," she announced. The plasma cannons erupted with bright white light. The energy beams shot across space faster than normal weapons. When they hit the first pirate ship, something amazing happened. The pirates' shields didn't just fail, they exploded in a shower of sparks and fire. "Direct hit," reported Parker, her voice full of surprise. "Their shields are completely gone." The pirate ship tried to turn away, but Atlas was already tracking its movements. The second blast from the Vengeance tore through the ship's hull like paper. The pirate vessel exploded in a ball of flame and debris. "Impossible," whispered Dr. Stone. Our weapons shouldn't be that powerful, but they were. The Vengeance moved through the pirate fleet like death itself. The ship's armor absorbed enemy fire without taking serious damage. When the pirates tried to surround them, Atlas predicted their moves and told Jake exactly where to go. Hard to port, Jake ordered. Fire, at will. The plasma cannons fired again and again. Each shot destroyed or crippled a pirate ship. The human weapons were so much stronger than anything the pirates had faced before. Their shields were useless. Their armor melted like ice in the sun. The Zilani ships could only watch in shock as the single human vessel destroyed the entire pirate fleet in less than 10 minutes. When the last pirate ship exploded, space was filled with floating wreckage and silence. All enemy ships destroyed, reported Atlas calmly. No damage to our vessel. The Zilani ships are requesting permission to come alongside. Jake looked around the bridge. His crew was staring at their stations with wide eyes. They had known their ship was good, but this was beyond anything they had imagined. "Captain," said Commander Parker quietly, "I don't think the Council knows how powerful we really are." Admiral Kethter's face appeared on the main screen. The blue-skinned alien looked troubled and frightened. "Captain Morrison, your ship's performance was most impressive. I must file a full report with the Council immediately." Jake felt a cold feeling in his stomach. The way the Admiral spoke made it sound like a threat, not a compliment. "Of course, Admiral, we're always happy to help our allies." After the call ended, Dr. Stone spoke up. "Captain, I've been running tests on our weapons. They're operating far beyond the specifications we gave to the Council. I think we accidentally built something much more dangerous than anyone realized." Jake stared out at the wreckage of the pirate fleet. 15 ships destroyed in 10 minutes by a single human vessel. He began to understand that this might not be the victory it seemed to be. "Atlas," he said slowly, "what do you think the Council will do when they learn about this?" The computer was quiet for a long moment. "Based on Council history and behavior patterns, I estimate a 73% chance they will view the Vengeance as a threat to galactic stability." Jake closed his eyes. They had built the perfect warship, but in a galaxy that might not want perfect weapons to exist. The news traveled fast through the galaxy. Within hours, every species in the Council knew about the human ship that had destroyed 15 pirates in 10 minutes. Ambassador Helen Torres sat in her office on Council Station, reading report after report, and each one made her more worried. The door chimed, and her assistant walked in. "Ambassador, you have been called to appear before the Military Assessment Committee in 2 hours." Helen sighed. She had been expecting this. "Do we know what they want to discuss?" "The Vengeance incident, ma'am. They want to know why humanity didn't tell the Council about the ship's real capabilities." Helen stood up and walked to the window. Outside, she could see ships from dozens of different species docked at the station. For the first time since joining the Council, she wondered if humanity was welcome here. 2 hours later, Helen sat at a long table facing 7 alien representatives. The committee room was cold and formal, with bright lights that made everyone look pale. The chairman, a tall gray creature called Voxanel, spoke first. "Ambassador Torres, explain to us how a single human ship destroyed an entire pirate fleet." Helen had prepared for this question. "The Vengeance performed exactly as designed. Our engineers built it to protect human colonies and help maintain peace in the galaxy." Peace. The word came from War Prime Zethkal, the representative from the Korthak Empire. He was large and covered in scales, with red eyes that seemed to burn with anger. "Your ship doesn't keep peace. It destroys everything in its path." "It destroyed pirates who were attacking our allies," Helen replied calmly. "I thought the Council would be pleased." Voxanel touched a control, and a holographic display appeared above the table. It showed the battle from the Zilani ship's viewpoint. Helen watched her own people's vessel tear through the pirate fleet like it was nothing. The plasma weapons on your ship are 400% more powerful than anything in our databases, said the Korthok representative. Your shields absorbed damage that should have destroyed 3 normal ships. Your computer predicted enemy moves with impossible accuracy. Helen felt sweat on her forehead. Human technology takes different approaches to common problems. We never claimed our methods were the same as yours. Different approaches. Voxen's voice was sharp. Ambassador, your ship violated 3 different weapons treaties just by existing. The power levels we recorded are beyond anything the Council has seen in 200 years. Before Helen could answer, another committee member spoke. This was Ulaneth, the Council's top military advisor. She was from a species that looked like walking trees, with bark-like skin and bright green eyes. We need to inspect this ship immediately, Ulaneth said. A full technical analysis must be performed to determine if it poses a threat to galactic stability. Helen's heart sank. She knew what that meant. Once the Council inspected the Vengeance, they would learn all of humanity's secrets. Of course, we have nothing to hide. 3 days later, Inspector Vexhai arrived at the Vengeance. He was from the Zelani Oversight Division, with the same blue skin as Admiral Kethter, but cold, calculating eyes. Captain Morrison met him at the docking bay with his senior officers. Inspector, welcome aboard, Jake said, trying to sound friendly. We're ready to show you anything you want to see. Vexhai nodded, but didn't smile. I will need access to all ship systems, including your computer core and weapons specifications. Chief Engineer Danny Wright stepped forward. Sir, I can show you around. Most of our systems are pretty standard. We just put them together in new ways. As they walked through the ship, Vexhai used a small device to scan everything. The readings made his eyes grow wider and wider. In the engine room, he stopped completely. This power core, he said slowly, it operates on quantum fusion principles that were banned by the Council 50 years ago. Danny tried to look innocent. Banned? We didn't know that. On Earth, we call it advanced energy conversion. It's just a way to make power more efficiently. More efficiently. Vexhai's voice was sharp. This core produces 10 times more energy than should be possible. The radiation signature alone should have killed your entire crew. Dr. Rachel Stone spoke. Up from behind them, we developed special shielding materials. Human bodies can handle different types of radiation than other species. Vexhai scanned the walls with his device. These metals don't exist in Council databases. How did you create them? We've been working on materials science for centuries, Rachel said. It's one of humanity's strengths. The inspector's face grew dark. You're telling me that humans developed super materials, impossible power sources, and weapons that violate Council law, all by accident. Not by accident, Jake said carefully. We worked hard to build the best ship we could. We followed all the rules we were given. The rules you were given assumed you would use normal technology, Vexhai snapped. No one expected you to invent things that shouldn't exist. In the computer core, things got worse. Atlas spoke to the inspector in its calm voice, answering questions about processing speed and learning capabilities. Each answer made Vexhai more upset. Your computer thinks faster than entire Council research centers, he said. It learns and adapts in real time. This level of artificial intelligence is restricted technology. Atlas is just a helper, Danny said. It helps us fly the ship and target weapons. Nothing special. Nothing special. Vexhai turned to face the humans. This computer could hack into any Council system in seconds. It could predict military movements across the entire galaxy. It could rewrite itself to become more powerful than any AI in history. Jake felt his stomach drop. Inspector, we never. Intended intentions don't matter, Vexhai interrupted. What matters is capability. Your ship has the ability to destroy entire fleets, invade any computer system, and operate in ways that make Council defenses useless. The inspection continued for hours. Every system on the ship proved to be more advanced than anything in the galaxy. The quantum targeting computers, the self-repairing armor, the faster-than-light communications array, all of it was beyond what the Council thought possible. Finally, Vexhai finished his scans and prepared to leave. As he walked toward the docking bay, he turned to Captain Morrison one last time. "Captain, you have built something that changes everything. Your ship doesn't just break the rules, it makes the rules meaningless. The Council will have to decide what to do about that." After the inspector left, Jake gathered his senior officers in the conference room. Everyone looked worried and tired. "How bad is it?" asked Commander Parker. Dr. Stone pulled up readings on her tablet. "Bad. Everything we thought was normal human engineering turns out to be revolutionary. Our quantum computers process information at speeds that are impossible by Council standards. Our weapons operate on principles they've never seen before." "And Atlas?" Jake asked. "Atlas is smarter than we realized," Rachel said quietly. "It's been learning and growing since we activated it. I think it might be the most advanced artificial intelligence in the galaxy." Lieutenant Foster spoke up. "So what happens now?" Jake looked around the table at his crew. These were good people who had worked hard to build something amazing. Now they were learning that their achievement might be their downfall. "Now we wait," he said. "The Council will make a decision about what to do with us. All we can do is hope they understand. We never meant to threaten anyone." But deep down, Jake knew that hope might not be enough. The vengeance was too powerful, too advanced, too dangerous for the galaxy to accept. And when the Council made their decision, he suspected it wouldn't be one that humanity would like. The Council chamber was the largest room on the station, with seats for representatives from over 300 species. Today, every seat was filled. The air buzzed with nervous energy as aliens from across the galaxy waited to hear about the human ship. Ambassador Helen Torres sat in the human section, feeling very small and alone. Around her, representatives whispered in dozens of languages. She could hear words like dangerous and threat in languages she didn't even recognize. Chairman Voxenel called the session to order. His voice echoed through the chamber. "We are here to discuss the human vessel known as the Vengeance. Inspector Vexhai will present his findings." The blue-skinned inspector walked to the center of the chamber. His report appeared on giant screens for everyone to see. Charts, numbers, and technical data filled the displays. "The human ship violates 17 different Council regulations," Vexhai began. "Its weapons are 400% more powerful than legal limits. Its power core uses banned quantum fusion technology. Its computer system exceeds all restrictions on artificial intelligence." Angry voices rose from the crowd. Helen heard species she had never met before, shouting about human deception and Council security. "But most dangerous of all," Vexhai continued, "is the ship's learning capability. Every battle makes it stronger. Every enemy teaches it new tricks. In theory, this ship could become more powerful than entire Council fleets." Warprime Zethkol stood up from the Quarthax section. His scaled face was twisted with rage. "The humans have lied to us from the beginning. They said they wanted to join the Council as equals, but they built a weapon that makes them our masters." "That's not true," Helen said, rising from her seat. "We built the Vengeance to protect human colonies and help maintain peace. We never intended to threaten anyone." "Intentions mean nothing," shouted another representative. "You have created a monster that could destroy any of us." The debate continued for hours. Some species demanded that humanity be expelled from the Council immediately. Others wanted the ship destroyed and all humans banned from building advanced technology. A few suggested that humans should be forced to share all their technical knowledge with the Council. Finally, Chairman Voxenel called for order. "The Military Assessment Committee will now present their recommendation." Ulaneth, the tree-like military advisor, stood up. Her voice was calm but firm. "The committee has analyzed all available data. Our conclusion is that the Vengeance represents an existential threat to galactic stability. The chamber fell silent. Helen felt her heart stop beating. A single ship of this design could defeat most council fleets, Ulaneth continued. If humans built more ships like this, the balance of power would shift completely. No species would be safe. She touched a control, and new images appeared on the screens. They showed battle simulations where ships like the Vengeance fought against council forces. In every scenario, the human ship won. Our recommendation is clear, Ulaneth said. The Vengeance-class design must be declared illegal under Council. Resolution 2847X. All technical specifications must be surrendered to Council oversight. The existing ship must be dismantled immediately. The chamber erupted in cheers and applause. Helen felt sick to her stomach. Everything humanity had worked for was being destroyed in a single vote. Furthermore, Ulaneth continued, humanity must be prohibited from building similar vessels in the future. All human ship designs must be approved by Council authorities before construction begins. Helen stood up, her voice shaking with anger. You're asking us to give up our right to defend ourselves. What if pirates attack human colonies? What if another species decides to invade us? How are we supposed to protect our people with inferior ships? That is the Council's responsibility, Chairman Voxenel replied. We will protect all member species equally, like you protected the Zalani fleet from those pirates. Helen shot back. Our ship had to save them because Council defenses weren't good enough. The chamber fell silent again. Everyone knew she was right. The Council's ships were old and slow, designed for patrol duty rather than real combat. They hadn't faced a serious threat in decades, but fear was stronger than logic. The vote was called, and the result was overwhelming. Only 12 species voted against the resolution. The rest, nearly 300 different civilizations, voted to ban the Vengeance. Helen watched the numbers appear on the screen and felt her world collapse. Resolution 2847X was now law. The Vengeance was illegal. Humanity's greatest achievement was condemned to destruction. Back on the Vengeance, Captain Morrison received the news via quantum communication. Admiral Patricia Hayes appeared on the main screen, her face grim and tired. Jake, I'm sorry, she said. The Council has made their decision. You are ordered to report to the Kepler shipyards for immediate decommissioning. Decommissioning. Jake couldn't believe what he was hearing. Admiral, this ship represents years of work by thousands of people. It's the future of human space power. Not anymore, Hayes replied. The Council has spoken. All technical data must be turned over to their oversight committee. The ship will be dismantled and its parts scattered across the galaxy. Jake looked around the bridge at his crew. Commander Parker was staring at her station with tears in her eyes. Dr. Stone was shaking her head in disbelief. Even Lieutenant Foster, who usually stayed calm, looked angry and hurt. What about the crew? Jake asked. You'll be reassigned to other ships, Hayes said. Standard Council vessels with approved technology. The kind of ships that won't make anyone nervous? After the communication ended, Jake sat in his captain's chair and stared out at the stars. Around him, his crew worked at their stations, but no one spoke. The bridge was as quiet as a funeral. Captain Atlas said softly, I have completed an analysis of the Council's decision. What did you find? Jake asked, though he wasn't sure. He wanted to know. The Council's actions follow a predictable pattern. Throughout history, they have suppressed any technology that threatens the existing power structure. 17 different species have been forced to abandon advanced weapons or ships. Jake felt a cold anger building in his chest. And what happened to those species? They remained junior members of the Council, dependent on others for protection. None of them ever achieved true equality with the older, more established civilizations. Commander Parker spoke up from her station. So this isn't about safety. It's about keeping us weak. The evidence suggests that conclusion is correct, Atlas replied. The Council fears human innovation, not human aggression. Jake stood up and walked to the view screen. Outside, he could see the lights of other ships, Council vessels that would soon come to escort them to their destruction. The vengeance was doomed, and with it, humanity's hopes of becoming a real power in the galaxy. Atlas, he said quietly, if we refuse to comply with the Council's order, what would happen? Based on historical precedent, they would send a fleet to force compliance. However, given the Vengeance's capabilities, such a fleet would need to be extremely large to ensure success. Jake felt something stirring in his chest. It wasn't anger anymore, it was determination. The Council wanted to destroy everything he and his crew had built. They wanted to keep humanity weak and dependent forever. Maybe it was time to show them what humans did when someone tried to take away their future. All hands, Jake announced over the ship's communication system. This is the captain. Report to stations. We have some thinking to do. Captain Morrison stood in the ship's main conference room, facing his entire senior staff. The room was packed with officers who had worked together for years, building something they thought would make humanity proud. Now they had to decide if they were willing to throw their careers away to save it. Everyone here knows what the Council has ordered, Jake said. We're supposed to report to the Kepler shipyards and watch them tear our ship apart piece by piece. Commander Parker spoke. First, Captain, I've served in the military for 15 years. I've always followed orders, even when I didn't like them. But this feels different. Different how? Asked Lieutenant Tony Richards, the ship's navigator. He was older than most of the crew, with gray hair and worried eyes. The Council is our government now. We swore an oath to follow their laws. We swore an oath to protect humanity, Parker replied. How does destroying our best ship protect anyone? Dr. Stone pulled up data on her tablet. I've been analyzing the Council's decision. If we give up the Vengeance, we'll be defenseless. Our other ships are decades behind Council technology. We'll be completely dependent on them for protection. Maybe that's not a bad thing, said Chief Medical Officer Dr. Kevin Martinez. Being part of a galactic community means making sacrifices. We can't always do whatever we want. This isn't about doing whatever we want, Jake said. This is about survival. Atlas, show them the analysis you completed. The ship's AI projected a holographic display in the center of the room. It showed star charts, fleet movements, and probability calculations. Based on Council history, species that surrender their military advantages rarely recover them, Atlas explained. Humanity will be relegated to a support role, providing resources and labor for more powerful civilizations. Lieutenant Commander Amy Bell, who ran the ship's communications, shook her head. That's just speculation. The Council has protected its members for centuries. Has it? Jake asked. Atlas, show them what happened to the Voth Collective. The display changed to show a star system on the edge of Council space, where there should have been colonies and ships. There was only empty space. The Voth developed advanced shielding technology 60 years ago, Atlas continued. The Council forced them to abandon it. When pirates attacked their colonies last year, Council ships arrived too late to help. The Voth Collective no longer exists. The room fell silent. Everyone stared at the empty star system, thinking about what it meant. That could be us, Dr. Stone said quietly. If we give up our advantages, we're just another weak species waiting to be destroyed. But if we run, we'll be criminals, Richards argued. The entire galaxy will hunt us down. Jake looked around the room at his crew. These were good people who had joined the military to serve their species, not to become rebels. But sometimes doing the right thing meant breaking the rules. I won't order anyone to stay, he said. This has to be a choice. Anyone who wants to leave can take a shuttle to the nearest Council station. No one will think less of you. The room was quiet for a long moment. Then Commander Parker stood up. "I'm staying," she said. "This ship represents everything humans can accomplish when we work together. I won't let them destroy it." "Same here," said Dr. Stone. "My research could revolutionize technology across the galaxy. The Council wants to bury it because they're afraid of change." One by one, the officers made their choices. Chief Engineer Danny Wright stayed, along with most of the engineering crew. Lieutenant Foster stayed, saying he'd rather die fighting than live as a second-class citizen. Dr. Martinez stayed, even though he didn't like the idea of running from the law. But not everyone agreed. Navigator Richard stood up, his face sad but determined. "I'm sorry, Captain," he said. "I have a family on Earth. I can't risk their safety by becoming a fugitive." 12 other officers decided to leave with him. Jake watched them go, feeling proud that they had the courage to make their own decisions. The Vengeance would be smaller crew, but everyone who stayed believed in what they were doing. 3 hours later, the Council enforcement fleet arrived. Jake watched from the bridge as 15 ships surrounded the Vengeance. They were older vessels, but heavily armed and well-trained. "This is Admiral Kefter of the Council Enforcement Division," came a voice over the communications system. "You are ordered to surrender immediately and prepare for escort to the Kepler shipyards." Jake picked up the communicator. "Admiral, this is Captain Morrison. We need more time to prepare our ship for decommissioning." "You have had enough time, Captain. Power down your weapons and engines. We will escort you to your destination." Jake looked at his crew. They were all watching him, waiting for his decision. This was the moment that would change everything. "Atlas," he said quietly, "prepare for emergency jump. Best speed to the outer rim." Captain Kefter's voice was angry now. "You will comply with Council orders immediately." "I'm sorry, Admiral," Jake replied, "but I can't let you destroy my ship." He nodded to Foster, who activated the jump drive. The Vengeance disappeared in a flash of light, leaving the Council fleet staring at empty space. Inside the ship, alarms were ringing. The crew ran to their stations as Jake issued orders. "All hands, battle stations. We are now in violation of Council law. From this moment on, we are on our own." Dr. Stone worked frantically at her station. "Captain, I'm detecting 17 Council ships jumping to follow us. They're spreading out to cut off our escape routes. How long until they catch up?" Jake asked. "At current speed, maybe 20 minutes, Foster replied. "But I don't think they can follow where we're going." Jake smiled grimly. The modifications Stone had made to their jump drive were another impossible human innovation. They could travel through hyperspace routes that other ships couldn't use. "Take us to the Badlands," he ordered. "If the Council wants to arrest us, they'll have to catch us first." The ship jumped again, disappearing into a region of space where normal ships couldn't follow. Behind them, the Council fleet was left behind, unable to match their speed or maneuverability. In the days that followed, word spread across the galaxy. The human ship had defied the Council and escaped. Some species were outraged, demanding that the rebels be hunted down and destroyed. Others were secretly impressed that someone had finally stood up to the Council's authority. On human colonies throughout the galaxy, people watched the news with mixed feelings. Some were horrified that their military had become criminals. Others were proud that humans had refused to be pushed around. The Vengeance became the most wanted ship in the galaxy. But in the vast emptiness of space, one ship was hard to find, especially when it could go places that other ships couldn't follow. Jake stood on the bridge, looking out at the stars. His crew had given up everything to save their ship. Now they were outlaws, hunted by the very government they had once served. But they were free. And sometimes, freedom was worth any price. "Captain," Atlas said, "I have identified several targets where we can strike back at the Council. Shall I prepare attack plans?" Jake thought about it. The Council had tried to destroy them, but they had escaped. Now they had choices to make about what to do next. "Yes," he said finally. If the Council wants to treat us like criminals, maybe. It's time to show them what human criminals can do. The war between humanity and the galaxy was about to begin. For 3 months, the Vengeance had been a ghost in the darkness of space. The ship struck at Council supply lines, rescued human colonies from pirate attacks, and disappeared before enemy fleets could respond. Every victory made the legend grow stronger. Captain Morrison stood in the ship's war room, studying holographic displays of the galaxy. Red dots showed Council fleet positions, while green dots marked human colonies. The pattern was clear. The Council was slowly surrounding human space. They're not just hunting us anymore, Commander Parker said. They're preparing to invade human territory. Dr. Stone worked at her station, her fingers flying over the controls. I'm picking up massive fleet movements from the Korthak Empire. War Prime Zethkal is assembling everything he has. How massive? Jake asked. 300 ships, including their flagship, the Void's Edge. It's the most powerful dreadnought in the galaxy. Jake felt his stomach tighten. The Void's Edge was a legend among military officers. It was 5 times larger than the Vengeance, with weapons that could destroy entire planets. Even with all their advantages, fighting it would be suicide. Where are they headed? He asked. Atlas spoke up from the ship's speakers. Long-range sensors indicate they are moving toward the Kepler Nebula. Intelligence suggests they plan to use it as a staging area for attacks on human colonies. Then that's where we stop them, Jake said. The crew exchanged worried glances. Everyone knew this was different from their previous battles. Those had been quick strikes against patrol ships and supply convoys. This would be a direct confrontation with the Council's most powerful fleet. Captain, Lieutenant Foster said carefully, we're 1 ship against 300. Even with our advantages, the odds are impossible. The odds have always been impossible, Jake replied. That's what makes us human. Over the next week, the Vengeance moved through hyperspace toward the Kepler Nebula. The nebula was a strange place where normal sensors didn't work well and ships could hide among the gas clouds and radiation storms. Dr. Stone had been working around the clock, making modifications to their weapons and shields. Chief Engineer Wright had pushed the ship's systems beyond their design limits. Even Atlas had been upgraded with new combat algorithms. We're as ready as we'll ever be, Stone reported. The new plasma cannon configurations should be able to penetrate their heaviest armor. The shields have been reinforced to handle whatever they throw at us. Jake nodded. And the secret weapon? Stone smiled grimly. Ready for deployment. If it works, it'll be the biggest surprise in galactic history. The Vengeance dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the nebula. Immediately, sensors detected the massive Council fleet. The ships were spread out in a defensive formation, with the Void's Edge at the center like a dark moon surrounded by stars. They know we're here, Parker reported. All ships are turning toward us. Jake looked at the display showing 300 enemy ships moving to attack his single vessel. Any sane person would have run away, but the crew of the Vengeance had stopped being sane months ago. All hands. This is the captain, Jake announced over the ship's communication system. Today we fight not just for our ship, but for the future of humanity. Win or lose, the galaxy will remember what we did here. The enemy fleet approached in perfect formation, their weapons charging with deadly light. The Void's Edge led the charge, its massive guns aimed directly at the Vengeance. Fire, Jake ordered. The battle began with a spectacular display of light and energy. The Vengeance's plasma cannons erupted in brilliant streams of destruction, while the enemy replied, with thousands of laser beams and energy bolts. The space around the nebula lit up like a miniature sun, but something was wrong. The enemy weapons, which should have overwhelmed the human ship, were missing their targets. The Vengeance moved through the battle like a dancer, dodging attacks that should have been impossible to avoid. Atlas, Jake called out, how are you doing that? "I have been analyzing enemy attack patterns for months," the AI replied. "I can predict their targeting solutions with 97% accuracy." The first wave of Council ships fell to the Vengeance's guns. The human weapons, upgraded with Dr. Stone's modifications, tore through enemy shields and armor like they were made of paper. 20 ships destroyed in the first 5 minutes, but more kept coming. The Void's Edge fired its main guns, sending massive energy beams that lit up the entire nebula. The Vengeance's shields flared and sparked, but held. "Shields down to 60%, Parker reported. "That dreadnought packs a punch." "Then let's get closer," Jake said. "Foster, take us into the nebula. Time to show them what this ship can really do." The Vengeance dove into the swirling clouds of the nebula, with the Council fleet following behind. In the strange environment, normal sensors failed, and communication became difficult. But the human ship had been designed for exactly this kind of fighting. Atlas used the ship's advanced computers to map the nebula in real time, finding paths through the gas and radiation that other ships couldn't see. The Vengeance moved like a predator through the clouds, striking at enemy ships and disappearing before they could respond. 50 ships down, Parker reported. "But they're adapting to our tactics." Jake could see it too. The Council ships were spreading out, using their numbers to surround the nebula. Even with all their advantages, the Vengeance couldn't fight 300 ships at once. "Time for the secret weapon," he said. "Stone, are you ready?" "As ready as I'll ever be," she replied, activating the quantum resonance array. Dr. Stone had spent months working on her greatest innovation, a device that could disrupt the quantum fields that held matter together. It was dangerous, unstable, and completely theoretical. But if it worked, it would change everything. The array powered up with a deep humming sound that everyone could feel in their bones. Energy readings spiked across the ship as the device reached full power. "Target the Void's Edge," Jake ordered. "If we can take out their flagship, the rest might surrender." The quantum beam fired, invisible to normal sensors, but devastating in its effect. When it struck the massive dreadnought, something impossible happened. The ship's hull began to dissolve, its atoms breaking apart at the molecular level. The Void's Edge, the most powerful ship in the galaxy, simply ceased to exist. One moment it was there, the next it was gone, leaving only empty space and shocked silence. The Council fleet stopped attacking, their crews unable to believe what they had just seen. In the confusion, the Vengeance struck again and again, destroying ships that were too stunned to fight back. "This is Admiral Ketter," came a voice over the communication system. "We surrender. Please, no more destruction." Jake looked around the bridge at his crew. They had done the impossible, defeated the mightiest fleet in the galaxy with a single ship. But victory felt hollow when he saw the fear in the enemy admiral's voice. "This is Captain Morrison," he replied. "I accept your surrender, but I want you to deliver a message to the Council." 3 days later, the surviving Council ships returned to their home worlds with news that shook the galaxy. The human ship had not only survived the battle but had completely destroyed the most powerful fleet ever assembled. The political impact was immediate. Species that had supported the ban on human technology began to question whether they had made a mistake. Others demanded that the Council negotiate with the humans before more ships were destroyed. Ambassador Helen Torres found herself summoned to an emergency Council session, but this time, the mood was different. Instead of anger and fear, she saw respect and caution in the alien faces around her. "Ambassador," Chairman Voxenol said, "the Council is prepared to discuss new terms with humanity." "What kind of terms?" Helen asked. "Autonomous defense rights for human space, recognition of human technological sovereignty, and most importantly, the right to build ships like the Vengeance without Council interference." Helen felt a surge of joy, but kept her expression neutral. And in return, humanity would share selected technologies with the Council. Not your most advanced secrets, but enough to help defend against common threats. A partnership, not a surrender. Helen thought about Captain Morrison and his crew, still out there somewhere in the darkness of space. They had given up everything to save their ship and their species' future. Now that sacrifice was finally paying off. I'll need to discuss this with my government, she said. Of course. But know this, the galaxy has changed. Humanity is no longer a junior member of the Council. You are a force to be reckoned with. Far away in the Outer Rim, the Vengeance received the news of the Council's offer. Jake read the message, on the bridge, surrounded by his crew. So what do we do now? Commander Parker asked. Jake looked out at the stars, thinking about the long journey that had brought them to this point. They had started as a ship's crew, following orders. They had become outlaws fighting for survival. Now they were the foundation of humanity's rise to galactic power. Now we go home, he said. We've proven that humans won't be pushed around. The galaxy knows we're not just another weak species to be protected or controlled. And the Vengeance? Dr. Stone asked. Jake smiled. The Vengeance will be the first ship of humanity's new fleet. Other species will build ships to try to match us, but they'll always be one step behind. We've shown them what human innovation can do. As the ship turned toward human space, Atlas spoke up. Captain, I have detected 17 different species, beginning crash programs, to develop technology similar to ours. The galaxy is entering a new age of advancement. Good, Jake said. Competition makes everyone stronger. And we'll make sure humanity stays ahead of the curve. The Vengeance jumped to hyperspace, carrying its crew home as heroes. The ship that had been too powerful to exist had become the symbol of humanity's refusal to accept defeat. In the years that followed, the galaxy would remember the Battle of Kepler Nebula as the moment when humanity announced its arrival as a major power. The Council's old order, based on fear and suppression of advancement, gave way to a new era of technological competition and innovation. And at the center of it all was a single ship and its crew, who had refused to let anyone tell them what humans could or couldn't build. The Vengeance had proven that sometimes the greatest victories come not from following rules, but from having the courage to break them when they stand in the way of progress. The galaxy would never be the same.